I've spent most of my life feeling chronically exhausted. Even after 10 hours of pretty good sleep, I still felt like I was dragging my body through the day, trying to stay awake. I had a raging coffee addiction, like so heavily reliant on caffeine, and would take naps constantly. And here's the weird part. I often felt drained by fun things, like hanging out with friends or focusing on self-care, like things I actually enjoyed and wanted to do. So I just thought, this is just a state of being. This is just who I am. I'm just going to be tired for the rest of my life. Then I started to notice something, that the busiest days weren't actually the most tiring days. And sometimes there would be days I would literally spend the entire day on the couch and be even more tired. Confusing. Very confusing. That's when I realized this isn't necessarily just about sleep. This is about energy. Oftentimes, I wasn't tired because I wasn't sleeping enough. I was exhausted by the way I was living. Over the past few years, I've really started to learn exactly what drains me, what takes all my good energy. And through that, I've been able to win my energy back. I can get through a day without needing a nap. I also don't drink that much caffeine anymore. If you told me that 5 years ago, I'd be like, I don't believe you. So if any of that sounds like you, where you're sleeping quite a bit and you're still feeling completely drained, then this video is for you. So today I'm going to share the 5 things that were keeping me so tired all the time that had nothing to do with sleep and were honestly kind of sneaky, and then what I've been doing to work on it. All right, I'm going to kick off with something that I've discovered actually pretty recently, like literally within the past month, and that is overstimulation disguised as rest. What do I actually mean by that? Okay, let me paint you a lovely picture. 2 weeks ago, we were just so exhausted from being busy all the time. So of course, full rot day. We're on the couch. We're binging a new season of a TV show. Snacks in hand, phone in hand. Oh, it's dinner time? Of course. Don't have enough energy to actually make food, so we're gonna order it from DoorDash. I kid you not, I probably walked 200 steps that entire day. Just full rot mode. By the time we were getting into bed, I was even more tired with a side of kind of anxiety and irritability. I literally zombied for 24 hours. Why do I feel more tired literally going to bed? Rotting is not restorative rest. When you are scrolling, when you are watching something, when you are actively stimulating your brain with TV, TikTok, etc., your brain is still on. It's still processing all of these images, sounds, storylines, emotions that might be evoked. You're still making all these micro decisions, right? Like, are you going to scroll or not? Are you going to like or not? Are you going to send it to your bestie or not? All of these tiny little decisions and inputs, that's cognitive load. It's mental work. And of course, the sneaky part is the fact that it doesn't feel like work. It's not studying a really intense topic or sitting at your 9 to 5 problem solving. It's not really deep, intense work. So it feels passive. It feels like rest. The way I like to visualize it is like the difference between 20 minutes of HIIT, where you're just like active, sweating, getting your heart rate up, versus 3 hours of walking at a slow pace. Both of them are tiring. It's just like one in the moment feels easier than the other. So obviously, when all of that is happening, what's not happening is real rest. Your brain has something called the default mode network, and it's basically your brain's rest mode. It's where processing happens, memories get consolidated, and creativity begins to emerge. So really, it's the part of your brain that helps you digest your day, your emotions, your thoughts, your feelings. It's like running a little cleanup mode on your computer. But here's the thing, okay? Here is the kicker. It only activates when your brain is in a state of wakeful rest. What does that actually mean? When you're not focused on the outside world. Some examples: sitting in silence, looking outside, going on a walk without a podcast on, journaling, being with your thoughts, giving your brain very little to process. Real rest is kind of just letting yourself be bored. And so when you're consuming, you're not giving yourself that opportunity and you're not letting your brain really get that cleanup. And I know what you're probably thinking. You're like, dude, really? All I want to do after a long day is to just zone out at the TV and let myself chill. Like, give me that easy dopamine. Let me feel some sort of distraction since I had such a long day of work. And consuming content gives us that so easily. No effort required. Honestly, nothing wrong with that. Sometimes that's what you need. But just know, like, those quick hits, that relief, it's just gonna be temporary. At the end of the day, it just postpones the stress, right? Until you start doing more of nothing, your energy is gonna keep draining. Culprit number 2 is decision fatigue and mental load. This definitely gets talked about a lot, but I feel like it's important to address because so many of us experience it. It's that feeling of, sitting down and watching Netflix and scrolling for 20 minutes because you literally cannot make a decision on what to watch. By the end of the day, it's not really about the show. It's more about the fact that your brain has made so many tiny little decisions. You are just exhausted by the end of the day to make one more. One very unimportant decision. From the moment we wake up in the morning to when we close our eyes and go to bed, we're making so many decisions. Like what to wear, what to eat, what to say, how to phrase that email, what tasks to prioritize. And if you break each one of those tiny decisions down further, your brain has to go through the process of figuring out the options, looking at the pros and cons of each option, and then making a choice. And then on top of that, there's mental load, not just about every single decision you have to make, but it's like all of the things that you have to worry about and think about, the appointments you need to make, the texts that you need to send, the things you need to buy, the plans that you need to make. Like all of that is bouncing around our head all the time. Your brain is working constantly, even when you're doing nothing, like you're not actually executing those physical things. And I didn't realize just how much I was carrying in my brain until I was like, I really need to start journaling. So I started journaling this past month, flipped through the pages over the past few days, and I'm like, oh my God, my brain is processing so much. Like all my thoughts jump between so many different random topics like wedding planning, self-care, plans, how I'm feeling about certain interactions I had, what happened at work, like all of these little tiny things were just being stored in my brain and barely processed and then being put on paper. I'm like, holy shit. Life is exhausting. We're thinking of so much all the time. No wonder I was exhausted. Like 50,000 tabs were open in my brain. But as soon as I was able to just externalize it and put it on paper, I felt relief, I felt like I was able to free up so much of that backlog by just having it written down somewhere for me to access later. Now look, you obviously can't eliminate all decisions or all of the different things bouncing around in your brain, but you can reduce them, which is why I am such a big believer in systems, templates, routines, etc. Anything that can help you reduce the amount of decisions that you have to make every single day. Like Steve Jobs wore the exact same outfit every single day just to save a little bit of energy, but saving that little piece of energy will compound over time and make it so that you're less tired overall, So here's what makes it even worse. When your body is in a certain state, and I'm guessing yours is, mine definitely is, every single drain we just talked about is made so much more exhausting. Let me explain. The third thing keeping you exhausted is chronic fight or flight. I've known I've been stuck in fight or flight for quite a bit of time now, but when it most recently hit me was when I caught myself just rushing through brushing my teeth. I was standing there just tensing up, brushing as fast as I could, trying to figure out how I can make this the most optimal brush I've ever had. And then I caught myself being like, dude, why am I literally stressing myself out brushing my teeth? Surely I can spend 2 minutes on this. Why was my body tensing up, treating it like an emergency, treating it like it was life or death? And the more I thought about it afterwards was like, oh man, I have tried so hard to min-max optimize everything, even the most basic tasks. That's why I am in constant survival mode. As soon as I noticed that, I started catching myself every single time I was doing it. And I realized that's how I was living my entire life. I would be like meal prepping as fast as I could. I'd be scarfing down my food during lunch or like rushing Milo out whenever we went on a walk just so I could get back to doing more work and also watching more TV. I don't know, freeing up my time. And to be honest, this is still something I'm working on. All of these things are still things that I'm working on and trying to untangle because it's just how I've lived my life for so long. And the thing about fight or flight is that it is not just mentally exhausting, it's physically exhausting. My body was always tense, always sore. My jaw was consistently clenched, shoulders up, like I was bracing for danger every single day. Although, we'll say, I think I got pretty good traps from just, ugh. Anyways, not the point. It's so easy to get stuck because when you're chronically stressed, your body starts to forget how to relax. Your nervous system is always responding more anxiously, like being better at looking for threats all around you. So it's hard to calm down. It's not just like this willpower thing. Your nervous system just got stuck in a biological loop. And on top of that, modern life is designed to kind of keep you there. Think about all the constant notifications we have, constant rushing, constant demand. Everything feels urgent. Everything is about productivity and what you can get done. And it's made even worse by what we're putting into our bodies. To free up my time, I was always grabbing snacks and food that were fast, processed meals, quick energy, sugary snacks, coffee. Yes, my coffee addiction. Honestly, for most of my life until 2 months ago, I was eating in a way that was dysregulating my blood sugar, constantly spiking my blood sugar and then crashing, constantly spiking and then crashing. When your blood sugar crashes, your body will produce more adrenaline, more cortisol to bring it back up. So you're literally reinforcing fight or flight. Constant cycle. Super fun. Great stuff. Anyway, I'm not going to lecture you about nutrition, but truly there are so many things in our modern world that reinforce us being stuck in survival mode. And again, that makes everything so much more fatiguing. All right, this next one is going to feel a little personal because it's not about necessarily what you're doing, but who you're being, or rather who you're pretending to be. The next thing we're going to talk about is emotional labor. I don't know if you can feel it through the camera, but I am an extrovert. I love being around people, making new friends, and I get so much energy from social connection. Like that's deeply a huge core value of mine. But like I said earlier, for a long time, hanging out with other people used to feel really, really tiring sometimes. And what I realized is it wasn't that I was exhausted from being around people. I was exhausted from performing for people and hiding myself. I'll give you kind of a silly story. It's kind of embarrassing, but when I started my first of many businesses in college, I would hide away in my room and be so terrified that someone would catch me. Like it felt like this dirty, dark secret that I was hiding because I was so embarrassed and ashamed of it. It got to a point where one of my best friends came to me and she's like, "Sarah, are you upset with me? Like, did something happen? You've been avoiding me." And I'm like, oh my gosh. I have to muster up the courage to tell her it's literally not you. It's the fact that I am so embarrassed about building a business because I was so afraid that people would look at me and be like, why is she trying so hard? Literally, does she think she's good enough? Like, to do something and be successful on her own. Like, why is she doing that? And I've honestly had the same exact feelings about my YouTube and my blog. I was just so afraid that someone would find me out. And so I lived in fear around the people I trusted the most. I spent so much time, one, hiding, being this watered down version of myself and curating this experience of me based on what I thought others wanted out of me. Two, people pleasing because I was so focused on getting other people to accept me for whatever version I could even present myself as, but I could never really accept myself. And then three, always letting people cross my boundaries and saying yes even when I wanted to say no. I was so afraid people would get upset and leave me and not want to be my friend if I drew the line and said, no, this is like, I'm important too. So living like that, even my best relationships, people that I held near and dear, they drained me. And it wasn't until I spent a lot of time with myself that things started to change. I started reflecting on my beliefs and my values and what was important to me. And that helped me curate my own voice and my identity and reinforce the person I wanted to be and the person I was going to become. I started forcing myself to actually speak up and tell others my own opinions, literally doing exposure therapy to tell others about my YouTube and my blog, and just overall building a stronger connection to myself. And you know what happened? Most people who loved me supported me. I started making friends that were way more closely aligned to my values. And suddenly, life got so much easier. It's like the weight and the burden of hiding just got lifted off my shoulders. Socializing just excites me now. It energizes me. Like, I'm obsessed with my friends. I feel so comfortable around them. They never fail to make me feel more loved and accepted and celebrated for who I am, which makes me in return love myself even more. For once, I feel like this version of me is enough. One of my really good friends, Rachel, calls this being a nobody, but like in the best way, not like, oh, I don't care about you, but more like, I am so comfortable around you that your presence doesn't make me feel like I have to change anything about myself. And all of that is just so much less exhausting. Now, I won't lie, this one definitely took me a long time to learn because for me, it was really about getting over the fear of not being good enough and learning to accept myself. Being scared of rejection and judgment, all of that is so human, but it's so tiring. It really is. It is so much work to hide, people please, and manage everyone else's experience of you. All right, the fifth and final culprit of what's making you so tired is that you actually just never stop. Like, be honest. When is the last time you've laid in bed and your brain was just completely quiet? Not rehashing everything that happened today, not thinking about tomorrow. No, just being there. For me, I honestly can't remember. And it's not just at night. There are a lot of times in which I am not fully where I am. Even though my body is here, my brain is often just off frolicking somewhere else. I've just trained it to be optimizing, planning, prioritizing, focused on my next thing. And I talk about this a lot, but it very much is something called the hedonic treadmill. We achieve something for a day, we feel good about it, and then it's on to the next thing. And it's so hard to actually stop and enjoy what we've done and what we've achieved. And much like a treadmill, you never really get to stop. There is no destination. It's just like, oh, goalpost just gets moved. Like yesterday, I just hit 5,000 subscribers, which little me would be so ecstatic for. And while Carrie and I had like a little dance, my next instant thought was like, okay, well, that's cool, but 10K would be better. And that's the trap. That is the trap. I'm already envisioning the next big thing and never letting myself just soak in the goodness of the present in that moment. This is so exhausting because, again, my brain is always somewhere else, never fully present, always doing additional work to see how I can keep moving forward. But beyond the exhaustion, beyond just being tired from it, what I realized is operating like this made me miss out on my life. This is the feeling of life passing you by. And truthfully, this has gotten way worse for me after graduating college because there are no predetermined milestones for me. I get to set my goals, but because I'm setting them, it's so much easier to just be like, oh, let me just move it. Let me just move it. It's just this never ending feeling of, oh my gosh, I'm not doing enough if I sit still. And like I said, I struggle with this one a lot. But by recognizing it, I've definitely been able to catch myself a little bit more when I'm feeling burnt out. I will just ask myself, okay, where am I in this moment? What are my surroundings? And just try and connect with my senses to bring myself back into the present and into my body. And it's so hard because my brain just wants to live in the future. But every single time when I'm able to just bring a tiny little piece, just a fraction of myself back into the present, I feel so much more grounded in a place of content, and I feel relief from the exhaustion that I've just put my body through because I'm giving myself permission to slow down and be here and not forcing my brain to always be looking for the next best thing. All right, so those were the 5 things that were constantly draining my energy outside of sleep. Even talking about them made me feel exhausted. And if you're sitting there like, Sarah, I am literally doing every single one of them, please help me fix it. Dude, same, okay? Literally same. I don't know how many times I'm going to say it in this video, but like, you are not alone. I'm working through them too. But I have learned quite a few things along the way. So I'm going to jump into everything that's actually been helping me so far and what I've been actively trying to do. First things first, let's start with the foundation. You need to calm your nervous system. This is getting out of chronic fight or flight because, again, that makes everything more draining. So 5 things that I've actually been doing to help with this is, number 1, get actual rest. More and more, I've really tried to carve out time to actually do nothing, consume less. I downloaded an app block a few months ago that blocks all social media, all shopping, all things that I just be scrolling on my phone for between the hours of 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. And honestly, that has helped me break the habit of scrolling even outside of those hours. I feel like I'm not as overstimulated all the time and able to just sit down and be bored. And then kind of in line with that, number 2 is journaling every single day. It could be a paragraph, it could be a whole page. By giving myself the chance to externalize all my thoughts, I am, 1, helping myself get active rest, but 2, clearing out that mental cache and doing that cleanup in my brain so it doesn't feel like I'm carrying all this mental weight all the time. And when I started, I was honestly just writing like a few sentences at a time. And now, honestly, I kind of crave it whenever I need to process something. So highly recommend that one. Number 3 is stabilizing my blood sugar. I talked a little bit about this, but 2 ways I'm actually doing it is, 1, reducing the amount of total added sugar that I've been eating. And how I've been doing that is replacing a lot of dessert with fruit to get still my sweet tooth satiated. Number 2 is prioritizing protein and fiber with every single meal. By making some of these small tweaks, especially during lunch, I can definitely feel my blood sugar be more constant throughout the workday, which has helped so much. like so much. All right, number 4 is movement that feels good. You guys might know if you've been watching my vlogs the past year, I've really focused on just being consistent with moving my body every single day. And it's felt so good. Doesn't have to be an aggressive 5 a.m., go to the gym, lift heavy weights, run 3 miles. Like, no. There are some days I'll literally wake up and put on music and dance in my living room for 20 minutes before I jump on work. But truly making time for some sort of happy movement has helped release some of that cortisol, I feel, and increase the release of endorphins and feel-good hormones. So do movement that makes you happy if that's the thing that can keep you consistent. And then the last thing is just slowing down. Notice when you're rushing through things. Notice when you can't sit still. Sometimes I'll just catch myself and just force myself to do it more intentionally. Like I used to be so aggressive and rushed when I moved clothes from the washer to the dryer. I would literally like pull it out and just chuck it in. But more and more, I'm like, okay, let me pull piece by piece, shake it out, put it in nicely. Just that feeling of slowing down releases all of the tension in my muscles and helps me self-regulate. So yeah, those are some changes I've made over the past few months to help regulate my own nervous system. Still got a long ways to go, but I definitely just don't feel as tired all the time. Now, with the foundation down, here are a few other things that you can do to help. For decision fatigue, try and templatize some areas of your life. Morning routine for me has helped so much. Capsule wardrobe, keeping plans consistent. Like me and my girls have started just seeing each other every single week on Tuesday because then we don't have to coordinate schedules every single week. And for folks that can't make it, you'll just join the next one. It reduces so much friction. For emotional labor, like I said, this one's going to take a little bit more time to work through. But if you find yourself masking, if you find yourself people pleasing or hiding, I would really start with writing down the things that you are truly afraid of. Try and figure out what parts of you're hiding. Debunk those limiting beliefs, and then push yourself to act in a way where someone without those limiting beliefs would. For example, asking people for help. That was something I struggled with a lot because I was like, I don't want to inconvenience others to help me because do they even care about me enough? But the more I asked people for help and the more that they reciprocated, I was just like, wow, yeah, it's not that scary because people that I love me. Just like I would do anything to help them, they would for me. And that has really helped soothe my fear of not being good enough. Honestly, I feel like it's kind of weird to say this, but when I was trying to increase my self-confidence and work through this, I almost set like goals. Working through all of this is not going to be easy. Like it's going to be things you have to be very active about because it is so easy to just fall back into being comfortable. And that's the truth. And then for never stopping, just ask yourself constantly, where am I now? Reground. Focus on your senses, focus on your environment. Your brain will obviously push you to want to be in the future, but the only moment that you truly always exist in is the present. So those are all the things that I've learned over the past few years about how I can start to regulate myself and reclaim my energy. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say I do all of this perfectly because truly I do not. There are still days I absolutely love to rot. I still love a Friday morning McDonald's breakfast run, even though I know it's probably going to make me more tired. And a lot of days I'm still rushing to get ahead. I'm still planning. I'm still min-maxing and optimizing. But this isn't about perfection. It's about realizing all of the areas of your life that might be draining your energy that you might not even realize. Then taking that and making informed decisions, being more mindful about where you're spending your time. And even after all of this, it's a 5% difference in your energy. Like that 5% is going to compound over time. And hopefully over time, you and I are both going to get better at being less tired. So if you made it this far, I hope that you pick one thing, just one, to work on and try for, at least a week. You do not need to overhaul your entire life right now. You just need to start. And that is it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, you might like these too. So go check them out and I will see you in the next one.